Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Good evening, everyone, for the Plan Commission meeting for September 16, 2025. The first thing is to call to the order to this meeting. Second is approval of the minute.
I move approval.
Second.
Any questions, comments? Here none. All those in favor of approving the minutes for August 19, 2025 meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Next, we move to item 3, public appearance for non-agenda items, and we have one register. I will call David Haight to the microphone. Dave, you have 3 minutes.
Is there a timer someplace?
Oh, who's going to put the timer? Oh, there it is.
It's strangely helpful.
Okay.
David Haight, 5855 Woods Edge Road. The democratic foundations of comprehensive planning in cities were laid down 100 years ago by those pioneers who had to battle the corrupt political machines that were keeping the teeming masses in squalor. At the head of those reformers was surprisingly Herbert Hoover. Under that 100-year-old structure adopted by the Wisconsin legislature in 1941, the City Plan Commission is comprised of citizens who have been nominated by a democratically elected mayor and confirmed by a democratically elected common council, who both as elected officials are directly accountable to we the people. The statutory language of what sets up the Plan Commission and the common council as peers. The Plan Commission works on an amendment, and while doing so, the Plan Commission can adopt the work they have done so far on making their amendment by adopting a version of their master plan, which is an official document, but it's only local to the Plan Commission. And then you certify it to the council. Certification is not recommendation, but it's an official statement that we have adopted this. You send it to the council, and what does the council do? It has an opportunity to debate it. You could potentially have common meetings. And what happens is that a motion comes back, and you have this back and forth. So what you have is, the statute says that planning is a technical discipline that requires expertise and a long-term focus. Politicians do not have that. And so what you have is the writing of the plan is allocated to the Plan Commission, but the council's given the ultimate hammer, which is, if we don't like it, we're not going to approve it. Now, there's tension because the tension is that there needs to be development. So there's going to be pressure on both ends to compromise and do something that's in the best interest of the city. But it happens in the open, it happens above board, it happens on the record, and it happens according to the law. Well, what do we have here? So the mayor creates a committee by just appointing the members. So there's no declaration that I can find in the public record of that. I can't find any declaration in the public record of the appointing or the appointing criteria. And what happens then? This meets, and they're presented with an opportunity to gather input from the community and an input from the steering committee. The steering committee gets its feedback, and then the plan is made by the plan staff and the consultant, and it iterates. That happens not in the public. It doesn't happen in the light of day. It doesn't happen by a democratically appointed body that's in our best traditions. It happens in something that is not accountable to the people. I have the right of due process. Who would I go to appeal what's happening and the decision of a steering committee? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we move to item 4, agenda review. Any comments, question? Here none. We move to item 5, is the agenda item. So next we have our first public hearing. So I will open the public hearing and consideration of Ordinance 2025-0-11 and Plan Commission Resolution PCR-02-25, adopting the Greenfield Neighborhood Plan as amendment to Appendix A of the City of Fitchburg, Dane County, Wisconsin Comprehensive Plan. So we have a couple of people here that they wish to speak in this public hearing. So I will be calling you to the microphone. Okay, so we will start with Andrew Lager. Where's Andrew? Oh. He wishes to speak. I don't know if you are in support, in opposition.
Yeah, this is in reference to, hi, Ms. Mayor, Ms. Gerhardt, and the Plan Commission members. This is in reference to the Greenfield Plan, and just more specifically on a parcel of property on residents adjoining West Hill Drive. There's been, you're probably familiar with the dialogue and emails and discussions. So it's just in reference to that. Oh, so the clock is starting. Thanks for telling me. As previously shared in those emails, a way to satisfy this would be to take the southwest portion of that area, the 15 acres. There's a property there, the southwest corner, that's got preserved land, the southern end of that on that map. That's on page 54 of the plan. And that corner part of that could be utilized for the same percentages for about my estimates now as a real estate appraiser for that square footage of land would be 1.5 to 2 acres, would be shifted to go along West Hill Drive. That would preserve, obviously, what we've talked about, the original character of the neighborhood. That originally was farmland and so forth before, and now it's grown into the northern half of that with significant white pines. So, you know, there's one single family home on that property now, and we're just thinking of preserving the original character of the neighborhood. That would also satisfy nutrient density, water loads, watershed. So it's a very simple solution. It would not change land percentages of the proposed land or impact any other areas of future residential land use. So it would just cover those topics. So that's a part of a solution here, a simple solution, and all parties would probably be pretty satisfied with that as a simple map change with MSA mapping and their planners. Mrs. Schmidt, you're probably very familiar with this. Oh, Mr. Sipple, you came and walked the back site areas. I referenced this topic last week. I was able to speak on this topic. So it's a very, you know, just transferring a little bit of that land percentage along that area. And I keep repeating that the second topic after densities was preserving the original character of the neighborhood. So if you've driven around that whole area and walked it as you've shared, you'll know that's a pretty major land use area, pretty visual and geographically. It's quite phenomenal how the current owner and or who else was living there put in a significant amount of white pines that are maturing over probably 35, 40 years. So thanks for hearing that as a simple solution. We could just work with that, shifting a little bit from that southwest corner along the lot line. So I appreciate your time and listening to this. So it would remedy a lot of things.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. So next I am calling Mark Jones. Where is the map? Oh, the map is in there. Okay.
Hello, my name is Mark Jones, 2266 South Saline Road, City of Fitchburg. I'm I'm an endangered species in this city. I'm a Fitchburg farmer. I actively farm 80 acres on Sain Road. There's not many farmers left in our city compared to when I first became involved in the city. I'm one of two surviving town board, former town board chair people that are still surviving, that were here when we became a city. I do not support the plan as the Greenfield plan is created. There are large undeveloped areas in the northern part of our city that has sewer and water, good roads, and bus service that we can look at first. We spent a lot of money developing a plan that no one from our area can support. I'm one of 4 large landowners who are not interested in seeing the Greenfield area develop. And maybe that sounds selfish, but we as a city have always been pretty proud of the farms that we have and the farming aspect of the city. And I'd like to keep at least that around for a while. We would do well to redevelop our open areas in the north before allowing the urban sprawl to push our farms out of the city. We're known as a city with agriculture in it. I hope we can keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Next, I will call Amy Steger.
Good evening. My name is Amy Steger. I live in Irish Lane. I'm here to urge you to reject the current version of the Greenfield Neighborhood Plan or make further adaptations to it. During this process, there were listening sessions. Residents spoke clearly, repeatedly, and with unity, yet our concerns and suggestions felt brushed aside. A steering committee was formed, but I was told by those sitting on it that they were barely given a chance to steer. We even submitted a petition against the plan, our collective voice in writing, and the city's response was defensiveness, not dialogue. They canceled the final neighborhood meeting. In July, I sent an email to support Andrew Lager's idea, but the city response was 6 weeks too late. We keep hearing about a dream, beautiful mixed-use developments, walkable neighborhoods with duplexes and condos. But that's not the reality we're seeing going in around us. What we're seeing are large multi-unit apartment complexes rising up, projects that don't expand home ownership or create owner-occupied housing market inventory. They just add density, particularly if developers are granted zoning changes, which we see happen frequently in this city. And that is problematic. As it sits, the neighborhood plan is the beginning of urban sprawl, stretching Irish Lane and beyond. Once this door is opened, it will be nearly impossible to close. We are not anti-growth or anti-change. We're pro-community, pro-food production, and pro-environment. And adapting this plan would better reflect the values, vision, and voice of the people who live here. Please send the plan back or adapt it so the city can listen this time. When we work together, we all do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Next, I am calling David Haight again.
David Haight, 5855 Woodsett Road, and I'm against this. So the first issue is a process issue. So the crux of the decision whether to adopt or not is stated in 6223.3a, which says the city master plan should be made with the general purpose of guiding and accomplishing a coordinated, adjusted, and harmonious development of the Wisconsin city, which will, in accordance with existing and future needs, best promote. That's the criteria that must be met for you to adopt. It's right here in writing. It's as plain as day. Best promote health, safety, morals, order, convenience, prosperity, or the general welfare, as well as the efficiency and economy in the process of the development of the city. So, best is a relative term. It's just like the NFL season. During training camp, all the people see is their own team. We're great. And then they played a preseason game and they get a taste of another option. And then the season goes on, you get a taste of another option. You can't possibly, as a plan commission, have something handed to you and determine best if you have no relative comparison. If, on the other hand, if you were involved in incremental updates, you talked through, you had meetings with, it was a joint effort between the Plan Commission and the Steering Committee. The Steering Committee gives you information. You, as the experts in planning, give back information about the global state that's being affected. That's a different story. The Steering Committee didn't think it was the best option. They certainly didn't. Watch the last meeting. It was like, we better do this because it could be a lot worse than this, even though we don't like it. So how in the world is this body going to certify it's the best option that could have been constructed to promote the values that we all care about? It can't be. Infiltration. Okay, so you're going to infiltrate all the water. Well, why does the city of Fitchburg have this big, giant, expensive pumping operation down there that they're looking to expand if all I could do was dig a hole and put it in the ground? It's one thing to say we're going to do it, another to know what can be done, especially given the counterexample that there is. And then lastly, the interceptor, the sewer interceptor. Greenfield is dependent on the sewer interceptor cutting through Hartung Farms at a very deep trench, cutting all the groundwater in a groundwater-dependent ecosystem that supports the Wabasca wetlands, the Swan Creek, and Murphy's Creek. Ain't going to happen. Those are the things that need to be brought into the open and discussed instead of somebody saying, we went to the DNR and they said, you're good. Don't believe it. Thank you. I appreciate it, and I know you do your best, and I have faith in the process. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Next, I will call Mike Connor. He wishes to speak in opposition.
Mike Connor, 2315 South Sain. I've lived here for 46 years. I was here when we were a town. We decided that we didn't want to be Madison, so we became a city so that Madison quit taking chunks of us. Now what I see with this planning is we're going to be Madison again. We were against that then. We're still against it now. But there's no one listening. We do not have to please the county planners. We do not have to please Madison. We are our own entity, and we need to remain that. That means listening to the constituents that are paying the bills, that said no on the last referendum. No. I don't want another 500 cars going up and down my street because there is new apartment buildings out there. That doesn't make sense. My road was not meant for that. My road was meant for Mark to take his tractor and baler up to a field and bale hay. We still have water problems that are not getting dealt with. We've had them for 46 years. But all we get is nothing. Nothing. We're not Madison. We don't want to be Madison. Listen to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else who wants to speak in this matter? Okay, here none. I will close the public hearing, and now we are going to a staff report.
Brad, I'm going to jump in.
Who's going to start, you, Brad? Or you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Deanna Schmidt. I'm the city planner here at the city of Fitchburg, and I just wanted to do some brief opening comments before Brad does a little bit of an update on the neighborhood plans. So the Greenfield neighborhood plan and the South Stoner neighborhood plan are truly community products. Countless people contributed their time, energy, and passion to bring these plans to life. Nearly 20 publicly noticed meetings, including steering committee sessions, neighborhood gatherings, open houses, meetings with residents, landowners, and neighbors who shared their voices and helped to shape the outcome. I am deeply grateful for the steering committee, who devoted countless hours to reviewing complex materials and offering thoughtful guidance. Thank you as well to Steve Tremlett and the MSA team for their heavy lifting, and to Mayor Radafrada and the Fitchburg Common Council for their leadership and support. A very special heartfelt thank you goes to Brad Sipple, who led this planning process with professionalism, grace, and skill. Most importantly, I want to thank everyone and every community member who attended the meetings, provided feedback, and shared their concerns. Your engagement makes these plans possible. We heard Greenfield's voice to keep Greenfield green. We reflecting your commitment to preserving what you love about your neighborhood. We also heard calls for creating vibrant mixed-use neighborhoods where people can live, work, and play. The plans before you tonight represent a thoughtful compromise, not perfect, but a careful balance that respects residents' concerns while charting a sustainable course for Fitchburg's future. These plans would not exist without the generosity and persistence of this community. Thank you for your trust and for your trust in us and allowing us to guide the planning process to take us to this point. So I'll just pass it off to Brad.
Thank you, Deanna. So what I plan to do here is go through a few of the changes since the June 17th public hearing at Plan Commission. So I'll do a quick overview of where the plan is at, the current draft of the plan that was on the website for the public hearing. Then there is an action item related to Greenfield that I'll get to on the slide after that. And then I'll do a quick overview of the changes to the goals and strategies. I did have in the packet, in the staff report, a summary of the themes and of the comments and how they were addressed. So I'm not going to walk through that. Those will be in there if you want to take a look. But I do want to just highlight some of the changes to goals and strategies. So, and then after that, I'll highlight the changes to the sanitary and water engineering that occurred after June 7th as well. Okay, so the plans as they are now include all of the staff recommendations based on the commission comments and public comments between the June 17th public hearing and July 10th, which was the cutoff date for comments. Now, one exception to this is a recommended future land use change to the Greenfield neighborhood plan. There's a small section, I'll detail that on the next slide. And this was mentioned in the packet as well, but without a map. So all of the staff recommendations are integrated into the current draft, except for this one. This is a staff recommended change. So if there are any further changes besides what is already in the plan, that will need to be an amendment and included in the motion to adopt the plan. Generally, the changes that were integrated were responsive to comments about housing diversity, tree preservation, bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure connectivity, edits for clarity, and generally no changes were made when the comments were either too general or outside the scope of the plan. The suggestions conflicted with prior steering committee decisions, or budget or infrastructure constraints limited the feasibility. And these apply to both plans, both Greenfield and South Stoner Prairie. So I think the action item and main point of discussion for Greenfield here is the staff recommendation based on comments, the staff recommendation to change the future land use and preferred concept a little bit. Shown on the map up there, the red circle is showing a parcel that is shown as medium high density residential in the future land use, in the recommended future land use, and the remaining parcels to the north of it, I don't know if you can see my pointer. So these remaining parcels have a flex area built in, so they can either be medium high density residential or or business park, depending on kind of the proposals that come through and the size of the development. There were concerns, both amongst the steering committee and some of the commenters, about isolated pockets of residential east of Blaney Road here, because there are a lot of wetlands and other natural features that kind of limit the developability of that area. So there were concerns there. We did partially address those concerns earlier in an earlier draft of the plan before the June 17th meeting, but working on it more, the staff just thinks that adding the flex area, the business park flex area, to this parcel would be a better solution to that, I guess, that possibility of creating isolated residential pockets in an otherwise business park area. So that's a staff recommendation. I do have language when we get to that, potential language, if the Plan Commission is interested in including that in a motion. So, and feel free to ask any questions once I finish with this, if there are anything I need to clarify on this or not. All right, so just a quick overview of the goals and strategy changes that resulted from the public comments and the commission comments. We added language to the housing strategy 1.1 to consider amending the comprehensive plan to allow for 2-unit buildings in the low and medium density districts to encourage more housing variety within the same density ranges. Strategy 3A4 to seek opportunities to develop regional commuter rail along the Fitchburg Oregon Railroad. Changed or edited strategy 3B2 to provide basically to clarify that the sidewalks are not being proposed or planned in this plan in the existing neighborhood. Also edited strategy 3B3 to encourage proposed streets and trails to connect to existing streets and intersections wherever practical. So that clarified the language a bit. Strategy 3B6 was to seek opportunities to develop a multi-use path along the Fitchburg Oregon Railroad for better bike and pedestrian connectivity. And then finally added a strategy 5A4 to encourage the preservation of high quality trees, and gave a couple ways that could be done without creating public space out of it. It's either high quality trees can be preserved or integrated into new developments. It could be in existing lots or as a commonly owned private open space. So just a couple ideas in there. And that is about it for Greenfield. So any questions, comments, or anything, open to that now.
So are you done with your?
Yeah.
Are you done with your presentation?
For Greenfield, yeah. Yep.
Okay, so I am open.
I have a couple of questions, if I
okay,
might.
go ahead.
I'm concerned about the huge loss of the amount of AX land in this particular plan. How do we make up for that, and how does that impact our Farmland Preservation Act in Fitchburg?
Well, the areas in Greenfield that are currently AX are noted in the Fitchburg Farmland Preservation Plan as Preservation Area 2, which is areas that are within a future urban development area, so they're more medium-term preservation. The purpose of that is to denote where the city is looking at long-term preservation and then the medium-term preservation. And the long-term preservation areas are outside of the future urban development areas. So that was the decision that was made when the FUDAs were developed and the comp plan was done back in the early 2000s. That was the decision made on Fitchburg's future growth trajectory. So because this is a FUDA, there was the expectation that sometime before 2050 it probably would come out of the AX zoning, or at least be have the option to come out of AX zoning.
So how many acres are going to remain in AX when we're done with this?
I don't have the zoning map with me. So I can connect with you afterwards, though.
Yeah, I'm concerned about development, and also with the solar farms taking up ag land too. I mean, I've been here a long time too, 43 years, not quite 46, Mark, but 43. And I remember our old logo, which was a farmer shaking hand with the city guy. You know, it was half ag and half city. So I'm a little sensitive to the loss of farmland. The other thing that I wanted to know is I read through, there was a lot of emails about the buffer that was requested by Mr. Lager. Can you show us where that specifically is on this map? And I want to understand better because it seems like a logical and reasonable request to me, and I'd like to understand better why that's been denied patently, and I want to know what the timing issue is with why we can't take a second to look at that again and just see if it does make sense.
Yeah, so that area, if you can see the pointer, it's right along the edge here. So the back of the lots along West Hill Drive is right here, and then the parcel in question is right here.
So it's central to that particular, it's not at the back of it, it's central to it.
Yeah, and so I'll try to remember all the reasons that staff didn't recommend.
I can jump in too.
Okay,
if you
sure.
want me to.
Yeah, so first, I guess regarding this being an easy change, it's not. The stormwater modeling was done based on this, and if you go to Chapter 4 and look at the stormwater plan, it shows that this has a chain, like a chain system here, that there's a wet detention pond in this triangle right here, and then it transitions to a dry detention or retention area right here. So in order to switch this with this, we'd have to redo the stormwater modeling, and I don't know that this would serve the same function as this, given that it would be 100 feet wide.
Adding a green strip right down the middle of that particular section.
I want to just jump in too here that the existing future land use on both this parcel and the greenfield parcels are residential right now, and to force this neighboring landowner to set aside a buffer between residential to residential doesn't make any sense. I mean, it isn't justified by normal planning practice to buffer residential to residential.
And the buffers that we did include, so we had a significant amount of buffering in this plan. The buffers that were included were generally between low density residential and then higher intensity uses.
Okay, so those will be identical building types in both sides of that area.
What's allowed is identical based on the future land use map.
Okay. Yeah. All right, thank you.
Josh, do you have a question? No? Shelley, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I want to go to the policy and goals at 1.1, I think, under housing. And I just want to understand a little bit. As probably everybody knows, I appreciate the concept of being able to add 2-unit housing into low density. I'm concerned because it refers to encouraging a change in the comp plan to allow 2 units in low density and medium density. And I'm unclear why in medium density it is limited to just 1 unit or 2 unit houses, or 2 units. And where do townhomes fit in? How is a townhome counted? Because if you can have 5 to 9, I think, in medium density, why wouldn't that conceivably allow townhomes? A string of townhomes. And if we keep focusing on 2 units there, and even hamstringing ourselves to 2 units in low density, because my understanding is we're going to look at changing the zoning code, and I wonder if we're going to take out the whole concept of the type of housing in these districts and make it just similar to the comp plan as to density, then it seems like we're hamstringing ourselves. I can accept that a little more in low density, but I don't understand the medium density.
That's a good question, and I am trying to pull up the language for the medium density future land use. I may have,
Oh.
Here.
yeah, yep. Okay, yeah, you're right that some multifamilies already listed in medium density in the future land use. I may have been looking at the zoning code when I came up with that language, which I think there is a above low density residential. There's another zoning district that does not allow anything but single family residential, but it's smaller lots. So that's just I guess that's just an error, and I can remove the medium from there because it's I think the concept there is allowing multiple types of housing in the lower density residential that currently only allows single family.
And we're sharing a mic here. So what about townhomes? Is each unit would be considered a unit, even though they may be connected, each one's a unit. So would townhomes be allowed in the medium density, as long as it's between 5 to 9?
Under my zoning, and I would say yes, definitely. Okay. And under, I think it would even be allowed under the medium density residential too. So how do I say this? Let's see. If the townhomes are on one lot, we count it as multifamily in my world, in the zoning world. If the townhomes are on their individual lots, but they're connected, we refer to them as zero lot lines. And technically there'd be, they would be allowed in medium density under the future land use map, and then also under probably our medium high density, our new medium high.
Okay,
density.
So we could get more density in these medium
Yes.
density zones.
Oh, sure.
And then in the low density, I can't remember where I read it, maybe is it in the zoning code, that you can have a structure up to 3 stories? Right?
I think so.
3 stories. So, in the old days, or at least in Jennifer Street and Madison and everything, there are 3-story flats. Would we not want to consider allowing that? Because here you've restricted it to 2 units. And I wonder if there's a vaguer way of expressing that each unit, that low and medium, we have a goal towards a diversity of housing style in terms of, I don't know how you'd say it.
Yeah, maybe Brad, you can kind of wordsmith that so that we're not limiting to 2 units, but that we're allowing a diversity of housing styles in the zoning districts.
Yeah, I can do that, and I'll also note that the strategy there is to consider amending the comprehensive plan, at a future date. So I think a lot of this discussion, I think we can make the language vaguer so that it can kind of encompass that idea without being specific about 2-family. But I also think that that level of detail we can have if it gets considered as part of the comprehensive plan amendments, or either a comprehensive plan amendment or the update of the comprehensive plan. So.
Well, I don't know how everybody else on the commission feels, but that sounds good to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, can I have just one other question, as long as I have my share of the mic here? The Irish Lane cutoff, is that going to happen only if there's an interchange? I don't understand why we would cut off access, since I take Irish Lane to MM a lot. There seems to be a little gap, and I assume it's because we think it anticipates, or I think it's the collector, but then the interchange, and what would drive when we would allow that segment to be ended?
Okay, so are you talking about when it crosses the railroad here, or this part right here?
Right there.
Okay. I believe the reasoning for that is to, having it come into, having the Irish Lane split into two directions to go to the roundabout here and then also to continue straight here. I don't think the traffic engineers thought that would be a good idea. So the idea here is to, redirect Irish Lane here into the new collector A, and then having it kind of T at this road should discourage through traffic from coming from the interchange or just from the east side of the 14 and routing them to collector A routing through traffic to collector A rather than onto Irish, and then keeping Irish as a more local road.
So that would only happen if and when there's a collector A. Is it dependent upon the interchange?
I don't think it would be dependent on the interchange. It's more about whether collector A gets built or not.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? No? Okay, Gabby.
I just want to thank staff and the consultants and the steering committee and then all the neighbors. This was a really long process. I think it was longer than anyone anticipated when it started. And my understanding is that was because there were a lot more meetings scheduled to get public feedback than was originally planned. And I think that speaks to the interest in hearing fully what people had to say about this plan. And so I think the outcome of this plan is very much a compromise. I have heard a lot of feedback on it on both sides, people saying there's too much development and people saying there's not nearly enough development. And I think that is indicative of a compromise plan. And sometimes compromises are the way to go. I do not think this is necessarily a perfect plan. If I were to say what I thought, it probably wouldn't look exactly like this, but I do appreciate the work that was put in, and I think this is a longer term plan. This is not going to happen really right away because there's a lot that has to happen before we develop this area. It's going to be 10, 20 years down the road at least, but I do think we need to be prepared for that potential development that may come, especially when you're looking across 14. I think that area in particular, needing more business space is really important. So I'm a yes vote on this.
Thank you.
And I will move approval of ordinance 2025-011, adopting the Greenfield Neighborhood Plan with all of the amendments offered by staff.
Oh, also the one that Brad mentioned at the beginning? Too?
Including that one,
Including
yes.
that. Okay.
Second.
And I didn't mean to stop the discussion. I think we can continue talking.
Yeah.
But.
So, okay.
So how will, if we massage the 1.1 housing language, how does that fit into the vote?
I think staff needs
Yeah, if Plan Commission is comfortable and with staff just making some massaging that language, then we would just do so if Plan Commission's comfortable with that.
Okay.
I'm comfortable with that primarily because it's just a goal. It's not a actual policy direction. So I feel like I'd be comfortable with that.
Same.
So I have a question about neighborhood buy-in, because I understand that there are a lot of competing ideas in the city of Fitchburg about development and the amount of density, how quickly it's going in. And I was on the other committee. I wasn't able to attend a lot of these meetings. What do you think the representation of the actual neighborhood buy-in, because this is being built all around them. This is different than the committee that I was on, where we're going into bare land and quarries and determining what it's going to look like in 20 years. And I know this was a harder fit and a much heavier lift for staff and the committee to try to come up with something where you can introduce density into an existing rural single-family neighborhood. Were we able to achieve any level of buy-in? It sounds, the emails I've had and discussions I've had, it sounds like the neighborhood is still not happy with the plan. We've had 2-3 people testify tonight. They still have concerns about it. So I guess, to make a short story longer, does this one have to be done at the same time as the Stoner Prairie, and is there any more room to find more buy-in from the actual residents that are in that neighborhood right now?
Okay. My personal view about this is that I think the original plan that draft, there was, it was objected by the neighbors on the steering committee. Since then, I think, and having all these meetings that we have after that first draft, this plan was delayed almost a year because we added more meetings, and I think the city listened to the neighbors and we tried to find a compromise. I agree with Gabriela, this is not a perfect plan, but I think, I know that there is still...
If we are even acknowledging that we don't think it's a perfect plan yet, what is the timeline constraint that means that we need to do this right now before we've got a plan that everybody's really more excited about?
And the question, do you think that, what is the level of acceptance for the neighborhood? You need 100%, 80%? Because for everything that we do, we are going to have people that disagree with what we do. Yeah. So the question is, what is that level? It's like we need to have 100% acceptance from the neighborhood. And I know that this is different because this is the first neighborhood plan that we are doing with the existing neighborhood. Before they were open land. So it's a different approach. It was this. We learned a lot with this neighborhood plan. With a lot of challenges, and this is the question that we need to ask: what is the level of acceptance? Because do you think that we postpone this plan for the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, I'm not saying that. What I'm wondering is they said the last meeting was canceled.
Well, so this was after many, many additional meetings, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the challenge on this is people keep not calling it perfect because of, I think, what the mayor is alluding to in the fact that we're not getting 100% consensus around this, and that is uniquely the challenge of building in a neighborhood with existing residential, in the fact that people who have very different views of what they want that neighborhood to be, why they originally moved there, all those things, I think it's almost an impossibility, right, to build a perfect plan in this situation. And so I do think that for the amount of time this plan has taken, the amount of time this commission has had updates, had conversation, the opportunity to ask questions, the level of drafts, the level of I think this is a very good compromise from where we started, from what we've heard, and from all of the stakeholder elements that are in play here, right? Fitchburg is a city, this neighborhood specifically, sustainable growth and development. I think all of those things are being incorporated here. And so I would say, I don't know that I necessarily see a whole lot of additional movement or change or better coming out of further delay. I think the challenge on this is that in some ways we've come to a stalemate because I think we've come to the best compromise we can find in this situation.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It's tough. No, I know. I get it.
It's tough, and it's hard for someone who's lived in a place for a long time or an existing neighborhood that's been there for 40 years. It's a big change for them, and I understand that. I wouldn't like it either, to be honest with you. And I just wondered, my main question is that, it sounds like what you guys are saying is that even if we took another year to look at this one, or another 3 months, or another 2 months, that nothing's going to change. It's a stalemate between the neighborhood and the city is saying, this is what we want to do, and the neighborhood is saying, probably not everyone in the neighborhood, but a good proportion of them are saying that they don't like it. Yeah, and that's just tough for them?
Yeah, the question is, I don't think that the neighbors want any development there. That one is. So.
Okay. I just wanted to bounce it off of everybody.
Yeah,
because like I said, you guys went to more of those meetings. Yeah, I wasn't able to because I had other duties.
The question is if we, postpone and we say, we vote down this project, this plan is, if we're coming back to the table, I don't know, in a year, 2 years, it's going to be, we're going to make a difference. So it's, you know what I mean? We're going to move the needle, you know what I mean? And This is the question, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. I
Yeah,
just wanted to ask and get it out there, so.
Do you mind if I add one thing to that too? I think my biggest concern with delaying it further too would be, I don't want to say it's throwing away the steering committee's work, but the steering committee came to it wasn't 100% consensus, but they came to a majority. I think it was a 5-3 vote among the members that were there. So
5-2.
5-2, yeah. So I think the steering committee had a majority support for moving the plan forward, and I'm not sure what that would look like if we had to go back. I don't know if we need to reconvene the steering committee or what that would look like, but I just wanted to share that concern about kind of going back on what the steering committee had approved.
I don't want to disrespect the work that's been done, and I understand it would be a hassle, but sometimes I wonder, why are we in a hurry to finish something if it's not what everybody loves? And it's easier to get excited about things when everybody's in agreement and excited about things.
I will say I find it hard to characterize this as a hurried process. This took more than 2 years. There was a more than a year of delay. This is not going to happen for decades at this point. And so I think the challenge on this is the additional money spent by the city, time spent by the city on a delay that I think, as we're alluding to here, I do not expect a whole lot of improvement or consensus or change. And so to me, this has been an incredibly, well-heard, well-executed, long process. And I agree with the fact that you had a steering committee that, when you look at the people there, is clearly representative of a lot of the stakeholders that were present and needed to be able to have a say amongst all the community that were asked in many meetings to give feedback. And so at that point now, I'm starting to lean towards the element of, like, why does the city have to pay for a 5-year process on a single neighborhood? And what does that do for the rest of the taxpayers and all of these other considerations we're having in trying to execute the business of the city?
Yep. But when you don't have pending development, I mean, I understand delays when someone's coming in with development plans and we need to move and get things done. This is future planning for, like you said, 20 years from now. And why do we need to be in a hurry about that? That's my question. But I understand that you're all fatigued with it, and I don't know. I guess I'm just old school, but
I have a question.
I'd feel more comfortable with it if the neighbors were more comfortable with it.
I have a question for Deanna. When we start with the revision of the comp plan, it's going to be another opportunity to look at this, a neighborhood plan, or no?
Well, neighborhood plans are a much more detailed planning process in terms of the utilities, the traffic. Once we get to the comp plan, that's a higher level. We certainly can relook at individual parcels and future land uses within a neighborhood plan that's already been adopted. That is the prerogative of Plan Commission and Council. However, I would just offer some caution because of the more detailed planning that went into the neighborhood plan related to water, sewer, stormwater, traffic. When we get into the comp plan, we don't get as detailed into those specifics.
Okay, and I have another question, I forgot. So another question for you, Carol, because you were part of the North Stoner Prairie neighborhood plan. I imagine that plan also you didn't have the support of the rest of the
There was very little pushback on that particular one. There were suggestions about path locations and adjoining green areas. It's just it's a completely different animal. Yeah. And I think, that plan looks great. I love the Stoner Prairie plan. And it's not because I was on the committee, because I don't know that I offered much except being a curmudgeon, but that's kind of my job. But I think this one is just different for me. It's just, and I don't besmirch anybody or begrudge anybody their opinions or whatever, but I understand established neighborhoods resisting change.
Yeah.
And I'm going to probably be the only no vote, but I'm going to do it. And it, but more in solidarity with the neighbors and just for a future hope that maybe we can get better buy-in percent. I mean, I don't know, is it 80%? Is it 70%? It's like when we argued sidewalks. It was the same thing. You'd have a street where you got 30 people that don't want it and 5 people that do. Who overrides what? So we've had difficult conversations like this before, and I was just, I'm hoping that like Deanna suggested is that, maybe when this gets a little closer to the build out, I'll be dead by that time. I will be, trust me. But, maybe, who knows what's going to change in 20 years anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
So to have a plan on paper that shows that this is an area we want to develop in, and maybe it's not perfect, things could change dramatically by then. There could be a train or no train. There could be a million things that could change between now and then. I mean, look at the difference of 20 years ago from right now. We didn't have electric cars everywhere. We didn't have Amazon and COVID and all of that either. So, times could change a lot, and this whole plan might need to be revised in 10 years.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying for me right now, I'm not a big fan of this plan in this particular area as much as I am as the other one, and I'm just going to vote in solidarity with the neighbors that don't like it.
Okay. Gabriela.
Could someone pull up the map and kind of point out where the current neighborhood is on this map? Just for context, because I guess my perspective would be that I think this is, generally speaking, the outcome of this plan is that the homes that will pop up around the current neighborhoods will be very similar in nature to the current neighborhoods. You were talking about a lot of single-family homes because that's really all that's available in low-density zoning. And even our medium-density zoning, it's...
Are you going to change that?
Well, but if we have the future land use as low density and medium density, which is pretty low density still, like our medium density is still pretty low density. Like you might get some townhouses, but this is not like, we're not looking at apartment buildings. There's no apartment buildings anywhere except for maybe on the other side of 14. So like, we're talking about a neighborhood that's more similar in nature. And development could happen even without a neighborhood plan, right? Yeah. Anyone could just come, we rezone it, we build it. I think you'd be much more likely to get an apartment building next to a home through a piecemeal rezone than through this plan, which will actually, I think, is the most likely way to keep the character of the neighborhood. I actually think this is a good outcome from what I've heard from neighbors. I think the only better outcome in their mind would be to not do anything at all, which I respect that that's what they want. But it is a beautiful area. I think this will be a nice plan. I think it'll be a very similar extension of what the current neighborhood is. And I think the people that move there will be lovely. Will love that place and will love the city of Fitchburg and will love the amenities that this city has to offer. And I think this is a good outcome for the neighbors. And I think it's better than plopping a random apartment building on a lot that's being sold by rezoning. Yeah. I actually think this is a better outcome for the neighbors, personally. And I just wanted to make sure that that's said, because I do think, aside from doing nothing and never developing, which is really not an option, because development is driven by the property owners, not by the city. The city just responds to proposals that come towards us. So I actually think this is a good outcome for the neighbors based on what I've heard from them.
If I can add my 2 cents, I've been sitting down here and now you took half the words out of my mouth, but that is the key, is that if understanding that the neighbors do not want development, the best way to not to have development is that you landowners don't sell it. That's what's going to drive these plans. And I also am very akin to Carol in wanting to vote no in solidarity. However, my reasoning for it is because at least this way you have a plan. So if your neighbor who does have 50 acres goes to sell it to some developer, we can point to, no, you're not going to be able to put in X, Y, Z, because we at least have a plan that is large majority low density. I'd rather have a plan than have, like you're saying, plopping in things because the landowner sold it. So I also hear, the concerns and complaints from the neighbors and community members, but yeah, that similar thoughts to what you were just saying.
Okay, any other commissioner? Zach, what is your position?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Stephen and Carol on this one. Like, I totally get it, but I'm definitely more on this looks like a good plan. This has, been long in the making. We're seeing that development coming that way already. So, I just, to me, it makes sense to have something, so when it does get there, to have that plan in place versus, again, that piecemeal pop-up development.
Okay, any other comments? We are ready to vote? Okay, so I'm going to do roll call, please.
We'll start with Carol Poole.
Do we have a second on? I know
Yes,
we had a
I
motion.
had Josh
Okay.
as a second. And this is a second on this was, right now, I'm asking you all to do a vote on ordinance 2025-011. And then my memo didn't note that, and I apologize, but we'll need to do a second vote on Plan Commission Resolution PCR 0225. So once I go through the roll call, then if Gabrielle, you can also offer a motion. Thank you. Carol Poole.
No.
Josh Knackert.
Yes.
Zachary Billings.
Aye.
Shelley Malofsky.
Yes.
Stephen Heller.
Yes.
Gabriela Gerhardt.
Yes.
And Mayor Julio Radafrada.
Yes.
Mayor, the motion is passed.
Okay, thank you.
And Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve PCR 0225, which is the Plan Commission resolution to adopt the Greenfield Neighborhood Plan, with the amendments proposed by staff and in context of the conversation we had tonight.
Second.
Any question, additional comments? Here none. All those in favor of resolution PCR-02-25, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
We have one opposed. Carol, the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, so next.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, on B.
On one.
No, we're not on Stonyford yet. That wasn't Stonyford.
Oh, we just
Sorry,
split it
Karen.
into two. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay, so now we are moving to item 5B is a public hearing. I want to open the public hearing and consideration of Ordinance 2025-0-12 and Plan Commission Resolution PCR-03-25 adopting the South Stony Prairie Neighborhood Plan as an amendment to Appendix A of the City of Fitchburg Comprehensive Plan. Okay, so I will open the public hearing, and we have one person who wishes to speak. I will call David Haight. Do we have anyone online? No?
I don't think so. No.
David Haight, 5855 Woods Edge Road, and I'm against this. Some of what I just witnessed, I think, is fairly extraordinary, and I'd like to talk about that. It's relevant to this. So there was a discussion. Commissioner Gerhardt said there was compromise. So just for a minute, think in your mind, who is compromising with whom? Okay, now go back to what I said the statutes say. The statutes say that the Plan Commission is you take your oaths, you are serious about what you do, you're dedicated to doing things correctly, being professional, educating yourselves, etc. You have, on the other end, the council, who's elected by the people. Now let's think about what a comprehensive plan is. Comprehensive plan is a plan for the city. It's owned by the people. There are no property rights associated with a comprehensive plan. Anyone can offer an amendment under state law, and there's no property right associated with a comprehensive plan like there is with zoning. None. It is truly a community asset. That's why it's imperative that the democratic institutions of our city, you and the council, drive this. We shouldn't be compromising with city staff and the city bureaucracy. That's wrong. That's pure wrong. That's the definition of autocracy. I saw anger from city staff that they had to compromise with taxpayers who were there because it was costing the taxpayers money. So let's ask the first question. Who decided that those FUTAs now were the things to come out? That's part of your job under the state statutes. That's part of the community through our democratic institutions owning the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan was put in place as a means to have a democratic control, citizen control of the development of their environment. It's being used as a weapon to take that control away from the citizens. Because now we have to compromise because somewhere in the comprehensive plan there's a statement that says neighborhood plans don't live by the state statutes. We can do anything we want. Go Google, search the city code of ordinances and see how many things there are in the city code of ordinances that talk about the comprehensive plan. One, aside from that you check for compatibility, there's one. We adopted it. There are no other rules. What happened? How did we get from there's FUTAs to here's the neighborhood plan without any democratic institution being involved at all? This is deeply, deeply problematic. I understand why they were angry. It's their plan, not the staff's plan, not the mayor's plan, not the Department of Economic Development's plan. It's not the Public Works plan. It's the community's plan. We need to get back to the place where our democratic institutions are in charge of our community plan. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to speak on in this matter? Okay, I am closing the public hearing. Okay, so Diana or Brad.
Brad, do you want to offer some comments about the changes?
I'll go with that one. It's closer. Okay. Okay, so as I mentioned during Greenfield, these changes, the kind of theme of the changes were the same for each plan. So getting to South Stoner Prairie and the goals and strategies, how those were changed between the June 17th meeting and July 10th comment deadline. So we added to the housing strategy 1.1 to consider amending the comprehensive plan to allow for 2 and 3 unit buildings in the low and medium density districts. Now that's very similar to the discussion we had on Greenfield. I think the medium density is already covered into the future land use category for medium density is already covered with 2 and 3 units, but so I'll do the same language if the Plan Commission desires. I'll do the same language massaging to that as we discussed for Greenfield. We added design guideline 2F in response to a comment that deals with false frontages, trying to discourage those. So basically applying to mixed use and pedestrian oriented commercial buildings, the public interest should be on the street facing facade. And finally, strategy 2.4A there was language added to design streets for 20-mile-per-hour speeds when feasible. And I forgot to go through the sewer and water changes for Greenfield, but I'll go through South Stoner Prairie right now. So working with Public Works, the sanitary demand calculations were revised for the offsite area shown in figure 4.4 on page 54 of the plan. So that's area that was outside of the neighborhood, but was included in the calculations for demand as potential future development. Those revised calculations didn't result in any changes to the recommended infrastructure, and the water demand calculation methodology was revised, and that resulted in lower average demand results and higher peak demand results, but again, it didn't change the infrastructure recommendations. And it was similar for Greenfield. I'll just mention that here, so it's on the record. The sanitary demand calculation, it had the same revisions, but the greenfield, it did result in a reduction in the sub-interceptor sizes, so that's where Irish Lane and Old Indian Trail, that would be the sub-interceptors, resulted in a size decrease from 24-inch to 18-inch. Otherwise, those were the same, and that's all I have as far as updates between June 17th and now.
Okay, so we have been, discussing this plan also for a long time. One of my questions is that I want to remind all of you that there is a conditional use permit there for a quarry that started in 2023 and it's for 5 years. So if we want this plan to move forward, in 2028, if we are here, we need to think hard if we are going to renew that conditional use permit. So that one is something that I want to say it because, there is an active quarry there. And I think the idea when you were here in this committee when we approved that, isn't it? In 2023, most of you? Yeah. So the idea was, my understanding and my expectation back then was this is a 5-year permit. And then you need to do the remediation. So I hope that we remember this conversation in 2018.
Where is that on the map? Can you?
You want to grab me on that one? Thanks.
While we are looking that up, I would love to call a comparison on this one in the fact that, exactly what we were talking about in the last discussion in what the Greenfield neighborhood could look like if it was allowed to go to development, right? This is undeveloped land. There are no houses on this. You look at the higher density, you look at the nature of where this map ended. I think it's a great use of this land. I'm not denigrating that. I want to call attention to the fact that there is so much more low density and buffer and environmental space built into the Greenfield plan than what we are seeing here. These were done in the same time frame. They're roughly the same amount of land, I believe. And so I do just want to call attention to the fact that I do think that there was a lot of trying to well fit as good as we can to each of these neighborhoods. And when you look at them side by side with the processes that they've gone through and all the similarities, to see that difference, I think, is very representative. So,
no, there isn't. Sorry. So I have up on the screen here in the pale kind of orangey color is the outline for the South Stoner Prairie Neighborhood Plan. And a couple years ago now, already 2 years ago, Plan Commission approved a conditional use permit for a quarry. You can see that quarry activity had already started when this 2024 aerial photograph began. The quarry conditional use allows them to take stone out of all of these parcels right here. So there's several different parcels. Oops, I grabbed the wrong one. But there's several different parcels. But essentially, this whole general area is the area for the quarry conditional use permit. Is that helpful?
Oh, she's looking there. Shelley.
Do we know when they plan to cease operations? Do they have
They have a 5-year permit.
They'll just go until the permit's done.
Well,
I don't know, because sometimes the rock is gone. I don't know.
Yeah.
I assume the rock's probably not going to be gone anytime soon.
They will have to come back for a renewal of that conditional use permit. As the mayor noted, we will have to have some discussions at that time to see what's feasible in terms of another conditional use permit.
And it's unlikely that we would develop anything before that, just given how the layout is.
Yeah, I think, Brad, if you remind us all about the phasing, I think this part is your first phasing.
We are always.
That's right.
Story of our plans.
Yeah, the Yahara lands were anticipated to be the first phase, and I'll mention that they did express interest in starting development while they were still quarrying. I don't know how likely that is, but they mentioned it.
Yeah,
So
I guess I can fill in here too. If you look at the topo here,
I have
just
been
turn
there.
on the topo.
There is a big hole there.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's a little bit difficult to see it in here, but if you look at the topo, you can see that the stone is generally in this area. This area, there really isn't any stone.
Okay.
So theoretically, they could start some development in this area, depending on how they're managing their stormwater and their overburden materials, which is just the material that needs to get moved away until they get the stone out, and then they put it back. But you can generally see the area that is expected to have quality stone for quarrying.
And I'll add to that the phasing is dependent on utilities, and that parcel is probably the most likely to have utility service available first. There's already service up to the Edgewood parcel along Lacey Road, so it's a relatively short extension to get to that portion, whereas the southwest corner of the neighborhood, and actually some of the land west of that, will need to get utility service either from a new MMSD interceptor through the town of Verona, or from additional infrastructure in Fitchrona
Road. Yeah.
Fitchrona Road. So
yeah. Okay. Any comments about this?
How is Fitchburg Minerals fitting in on timing?
It's a good question. So Fitchburg Minerals would be Payne and Dolan, and they haven't really provided any firm dates about timing and development. You might recall they do have an approved CDP for a proposed subdivision on these two parcels. That's probably been in the works for at least 5 years, maybe more, that was originally approved. Which probably echoes Stephen's comments. Development happens when the landowner wants it.
Yeah, I know that there was a couple of developers looking at that parcel, but who knows? Okay, any comment, Gabriela?
I would love to hear Carol's thoughts, if I could, just because you're on the steering committee, if you don't mind.
Well, aren't you sick of me yet? Jeez. I love this plan. I'm a scrutinizer, and I just do. But I think that the plan that we came up with for this neighborhood, my comments might be better suited when we get to the bubble plans and where we ended up. But, there were a lot of discussions about where the school should go. There were a lot of discussions about landowners that weren't interested in selling. There were landowners that were having unkind words with each other, which was probably the worst thing that we had. But, I think it's the right place for development on this side of our city. I think people that lived in the Corey Vista neighborhood were, they were a little trepidatious about it at first, but then they were really interested and they liked the idea. They liked the mix of housing. They liked the business park idea, and they liked especially having that neighborhood. Just inherently, the way the geography is in that neighborhood is there will be a lot of really cool green areas there, because the large strip that goes east to west is a very steep grade, so that's not going to get developed. So maybe instead of a traditional flat green space, you've actually got somewhere we could put some hiking trails through. And it gives us an opportunity to link with the Quarry Ridge Park, where you can connect up trails, and it gives the wildlife ways to move through that entire area. I think we have a lot of opportunities to help with stormwater by getting this development done right. That whole area over there has had terrible problems with stormwater, and I think that there's a lot of opportunities there. I think a couple of the things that got discussed, which I've noticed are in some of the notes that Brad has in there, are where's the school going to go? Is it going to go, to the north in the Payne and Dolan lands? Is it going to go to the south and be part of the development there? Or is it going to end up actually over by Tonto Drive in the Verona area? So, there was a lot of talk about that, a lot of talk about having places where people can actually walk to work. It's a very complete neighborhood, the way it's planned out. It has everything from high density to our new medium high density and to some lower densities as we went towards the south. But generally, I think this one is very well done and was very well received. I think it was a lot easier lift for our staff. But I do like this one.
Okay.
And I hope this one goes first.
Yeah,
And I think it should go first.
So. Yeah, I think that, if we don't renew the permit.
Yeah. So sorry, we were having a little side conversation about a different, which quarry actually has the extended permit?
Oh, okay. So, let me get these. So the Yahara conditional use permit is for these 4 parcels. Yeah. So, and that is the 5-year permit. Sorry. So it would be these 4 parcels right here. Yep. This Payne and Dolan quarry predates history. Probably predates pretty much anything. And so it actually does not have a specific conditional use or any timeline.
Really?
Nope. It's one of those really, really old ones. Yeah.
Okay. So from a phasing standpoint, we'd be looking at going west to east with this one, probably.
Yeah, from Edgewood. Yeah.
Well, Edgewood will go in. But,
yeah.
But that middle is going to probably be after the areas to the west.
I think Payne and Dolan, at the right time in the right place, I think they would foresee some development on here. So that's
going to be a remediation challenge, though, because of the difference in the topography. I mean, there's the elevations of where the land is right now. That's going to take a lot of work, right, Brad?
Yeah, there's some elevation challenges. I think based on our discussions with Payne and Dolan, they might continue to take some stone to the west here, but this is a different landowner down to the south.
Yep.
So.
Okay, Gabriela.
I'm excited about this plan as well. Thanks for your comments, Carol. I think you said more than I was going to say, but I think it's a good plan, and I like to see this level of density. We have tons of people moving into Dane County that want to live here because it's a wonderful place to live, and there's amazing amenities and great schools and all of those things. And I'm excited to have new people join us here, and I'm excited that we're going to have a nice walkable neighborhood to welcome them to in time. I do think when we get down to the end of that conditional use permit, that'll be a good discussion to have at that point. I also am excited there's a lot of interesting housing on this corridor, and I would love to see a bus line run down West Lacey Road. And so we need to build up sufficient density in order to justify that. Yeah. So I see that coming down the line when this starts to develop for sure, especially since that high density in that business. Because, Sub-Zero is a great example of a business that could really use bus service. You got a lot of employees that are that don't have access to a car, that have very little access. They could technically walk, but it would be more challenging. So anyway, I would love to see that, and I think this is the type of plan that will eventually facilitate that in the future.
And the reconstruction of Lacey has really facilitated people being able to bike safely. Yeah. I used to hate driving that stretch of Lacey Road because I was so afraid I was going to hit somebody on a bike because it was so dangerous, and it looks fabulous now.
I'm excited to see the Fitch-Verona redo coming later in this meeting because I literally rode that this past week, and that was the only stretch that worried me. And then you get on Lacey, and it's fantastic. So, yeah, completely agree.
Okay, any other comments, question? Can you move it?
I'll make a motion to approve. Should I start with the PCR? Would that be better?
Whichever,
okay.
Just as long as we do both.
All right, I'll move approval of PCR 0325 to adopt the South Center Prairie Neighborhood Plan with all of the amendments as suggested by staff.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Carol Poole.
Aye.
Josh Nackert.
Aye.
Zachary Billings.
Aye.
Shelley Malowski.
Aye.
Stephen Heller.
Aye.
Gabriela Gerhardt.
Aye.
And Julio Rada Frada.
Aye.
Mayor, the motion has been approved.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Oh,
Hold on, we got that. I'll move
Oh, the
approval.
ordinance.
I'll move approval of ordinance 2025-0-12
Second. And with the amendments.
with amendments provided by city staff.
Okay. Carol Poole.
Aye.
Josh Nackert.
Aye.
Zachary Billings.
Aye.
Shelley Malowski.
Aye.
Stephen Heller.
Aye.
Gabriela Gerhardt.
Aye.
Mayor Julio Rada Frada.
Aye.
Mayor, the motion has passed.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I want to thank Steve before you leave. You're online. Thank you very much for all your hard work. So, thank you. Okay. Now we are moving to item 5C and D, and these two public hearing and rezone we are going to postpone to October. Our October meeting, but then because it's a public hearing, I need to open the public hearing and close it, okay?
Yeah, if I can just clarify, the applicants, just so that everyone knows, the applicants have chosen to delay consideration of the rezone 2609-25 and then the comprehensive development plan 2610-25. This is the proposal by J.T. Klein to do multifamily at the Orchard Point lot 11. So because staff had already sent out the public notices when we received the call from the applicant that they'd like to delay, we just need to move ahead and open the public hearing, close the public hearing for both items C and D. Because we actually haven't even referred this item out, I actually don't need a motion to postpone at this one. You will get this back, but if we could just open the public hearing, close the public hearing for each item, and then we can continue on with our agenda.
Okay, so I will open the public hearing rezone RZ-2609-25, and I will close it. And then I will open the public hearing for the Comprehensive Development Plan, CDP-2610-25, and I will close it. Okay, so we're done with this.
Yep.
So next we move to 5E is a public, I will open the public hearing and consideration of conditional use CU-2608-25, request by Lee Strait, agent for the Wisconsin Department of Correction, to grant conditional use permit for a juvenile correction facility on property adjacent to the 4986 County Highway M. And we have here Jared Vincent is online. And who are you?
Courtney Cooper.
Huh?
Courtney Cooper with BWBR Architects.
Okay. You will need to fill up a slip when you're done, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So I will open the public hearing, so go ahead.
All right, good evening. In addition to myself and Jared Vincent, who's online, and Lee Strait is in the audience. He's the applicant. And then we also have representatives from the Department of Corrections and the Department of Facilities Development with the state in the audience. The Department of Corrections is seeking approval of a conditional use permit to construct a new Type 1 juvenile facility on DOC-owned property in the southeast part of the city near the US 14 and County MM interchange. The project is part of the statewide plan approved by the legislature to build smaller regional facilities to replace the DOC's existing Lincoln Hills and Copper Lake School in Irma. The new facilities are to be located close to major population centers so that the youth can have better access to family visitation and other community supports while at the facility. The facility would have capacity for up to 32 male and 8 female juvenile youth. The facility will be near the existing Oak Hill Correctional Institution, Oregon Correctional Center, and Grow Academy. The property is located north and west of the Grow Academy shown on the screen. The property is owned AX Exclusive Agriculture. It's surrounded by a rural development lot on the east and other exclusive agricultural lots on all the other sides. As a governmental facility, the proposed use is permitted in AX zoning as a conditional use. The property is comprised of 3 lots that will need to be combined through a certified survey map, which will be taken care of separately at a later date from this public hearing. This is the overall site plan. It shows how the facility is situated on the site. The entrance road coming from County Road M at the south end of the site goes up north to the rest of the facility on the 2 north lots to parking that's located in front of the building on its south side. There's a secure recreation yard situated around the north and east sides of the building, and an accessory building on the west side to provide additional storage and maintenance space for the facility. This colored site plan shows the general design around the building in more detail, including the general locations of landscaping, the security fencing around the outdoor recreation spaces, and the tree buffer along US Highway 14. And these details just show the fences, the configuration of the security fences. The detail on the left is the secure perimeter fence and has an outrigger and climb-resistant mesh at the top to prevent climbing over the fence. This is an aerial view of the facility. It shows the overview of the design in 3D. And this is a rendering showing the view approaching the facility on the entrance drive. This rendering of the main entrance, or the main entrance to the main building, shows how the design is intended to look more like a school than a correctional facility. The materials and colors are similar to those of the nearby Oak Hill Correctional Institution. The main materials are a tan-colored brick and a dark charcoal accent brick, high-pressure laminate siding, and aluminum and metal panels. This is an aerial view looking at the building from the northeast. It shows how the building mass is broken up with varying roof heights, projections from the facade, and sloped roofs on the housing wings extending from the main building. This is a close-up showing a recreation yard next to the housing units, and another view close-up of the housing units. And then this is in the view of the outbuilding. It shows the loading dock and an outdoor seating area for staff that's adjacent to that. These are building elevations that we included in the zoning submittal that show the materials used on the buildings in more detail. These are the elevations for the main building and the elevations for the outbuilding. And then this is a plan diagram of the main building. It shows the different functions of the building and how the programming for the youth won't be based on the traditional punitive correctional model, but instead operate as a secure research-based treatment facility. The facility will provide food service, health services, education, counseling, vocational training, visitation, and indoor and outdoor recreation. And this is a similar diagram of the outbuilding showing the maintenance and storage spaces. And then finally, we've got some drawings here of the proposed monument sign that would be near the highway and how it matches the design of the buildings. So thank you for your consideration. Should I stay here for questions?
Yeah, so
okay.
Anyone else want to speak? I know that there's a lot of people there. No? No? Okay. We close the public hearing and we move to staff report.
Okay, so I will be walking through the staff comments here just to add a little bit to what was already been stated, and the staff comments will cover both the conditional use permit request here and the architectural design review request. I did want to just point out that the facility will be served by a driveway from County Highway M. All the traffic in and out of the facility is expected to will come through that driveway. And most traffic will occur during shift changes, which occur at 6:30 a.m., 3:30 p.m., and 10:30 p.m. So other sources of traffic will include family visitors, admissions, discharges, daily visits by volunteers, staff from other facilities, lawyers, and deliveries. The site and the facility and the drive are decided to preserve the existing trees on the site and to avoid steeper topography. And you might notice that the drive that curves to the west preserves the largest area possible of tillable fields south of that proposed facility. Existing trees have been surveyed and are being inventoried for selective trimming or removal as necessary. The applicant does commit to preserving desirable tree species such as oak, hickory, maple, white pine. And then I'll just point out that along 14, you can see some of this field right now, but they're proposing a 65-foot wide conifer planting for a visual and noise buffer. It was already noted that a certified survey map is needed to join the existing parcels. That will happen at a later date. The lighting plan generally conforms to Chapter 28. There is some note of light sources that may not be fully shielded. Staff will, if it's okay with Plan Commission, staff will coordinate with the applicant to determine if a special permit is needed under Section 28-9. Staff believes that the request for conditional use permits meets the general standards of Section 22-64C. And then finally, staff, due to an administrative oversight, which means me, failed to refer this item to the Agricultural and Rural Affairs Committee, which probably normally would have been. While staff does not anticipate that the committee would have provided significant comments on this particular applications, we recognize the importance of transparency and collaboration. And if Plan Commission feels that it'd be helpful, Plan Commission can postpone the conditional use and the ADR to next month, and then we can refer out to Agricultural and Rural Affairs for their review. So I'm going to leave that up to Plan Commission in terms of that. But other than that, staff does recommend approval of the conditional use with just 5 conditions, and then we also recommend approval of the ADR with the 17 conditions. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you, Diana. Okay, so I open the floor for questions. I have a question. Because this correctional will be located beside the Oak Hill Correctional Institution, how is it going to be separated from the separation between the two?
Well, it's separated by the railroad tracks, and there's quite a bit of distance between the two.
You can bring that up.
Okay, can you bring the maps?
Yeah, I can. So here's the existing facilities, and I don't know all the different ones, but the new facility is located here.
Oh, okay.
And you can see right here on 14, and then the driveway would curve around here.
Okay, sorry, I thought it was on the west side. Okay. Any comments, questions?
Just
Steve, yeah.
question, is there a reason why the driveway isn't further to the west to just make more of a straight shot due north and preserve even more farmland?
We were concerned about the proximity of the intersection to the crest of the hill that occurs at the railroad. And there was an accident there sometime recently, I remember hearing. So we were trying to get it as far away from that as we could.
Okay.
There's also some topography in that area that was considered in the layout of that road. That topography is not shown here, but there is a bit of a hill by the road there. And so bringing it around like that was designed to preserve as much of the field as possible, also following the standards for an entry drive.
Carol, yes.
I was just going to say thank you. I think the building looks great. I love the fact that you made it look more like a school than a facility. I remember as a teenager being driven down Highway 14 several times, and my parents would point to the school for girls and say, if you don't shape up, that's where you're going. So I'm familiar with the area, is what I'm saying. How many jobs is this going to provide for our community? Or are these people going to be transferring in from other places? I'm just curious.
Sure. I mean, maybe DOC can answer this better, but I think there'll be over 100 staff employed there.
Okay. So it's a good thing for our community, and I agree with that. It's great to have these kids in an area that's closer to home so that they can be near family. And I think this is great. The design of the building is great. I love the materials. So I guess we'll probably do the ADR in a couple of votes. So thank you for bringing this here.
Gabriel.
Yeah, I also appreciate, I'll echo what Carol said, but I also appreciate the effort to preserve as much agricultural land. I think that's really wonderful and great to see that. I also appreciate the commitment to preserving trees. It seems commitment to really good land use. So I appreciate that quite a lot. I saw in the description, it wasn't said out loud, but that there's going to be a garden, an orchard, a greenhouse, a chicken coop. So there'll be some activities for the young people that are there that will be interesting and hopefully educational for them too. So I appreciate that that's also included in this. Thanks.
Yes, me too. I want to say thank you, and I met with you, several of you, previously when you introduced that to the city, and I think it's great that these facilities here in Fitchburg and close to the family. The kids are going to be close to the family, and and this is a very nice facility, So I wish you the best with this. So okay, any other question, comments, or okay, can you move it?
I'll move approval of conditional use CU 2608-25 with the 5 conditions outlined by staff.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of the conditional use say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Next one.
I'll move approval of ADR Juvenile Corrections Facility with the 17 conditions outlined by staff.
Second.
Any questions, comment? Here none. All those in favor of the ADR say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, can you take over this? I need to go through.
We are actually, is Stephen the vice chair?
Can you take over the meeting? I need to go.
Actually, all right, I guess I can.
You can stay there. I think you can stay there.
Oh, yeah.
You can come over here, too.
All right.
Do you need the hammer, Stephen? Or?
Yeah, well, I'll bring the hammer down. So next up is 5G erosion control stormwater management permit outlet 4 CSM 15033. Request by Bruce Holler, agent for Thermo Fisher Scientific, to allow land disturbing activity on the parcel along Spoke Drive. Just give an overview.
All right. Good evening. Thanks for allowing me to go through this project tonight. So we are requesting an erosion control permit on this Thermo Fisher property that is north of McKee Road, east of the Badger State Bike Trail. It's essentially an extension or an expansion south of the existing full permit that's currently in place for Winger Stone to haul in materials from other construction sites to nearby to bring the property up to a grade that's consistent with the existing permit that we have. And the goal here is not only to allow the fill to be placed, but we want to respect the trees that are there currently, as well as respecting the neighbors, I guess their view and just be considerate of what they have, what they're currently experiencing as their, essentially their backyards. And for us to accomplish that, we've committed to a 50-foot tree buffer where we won't be touching any of the trees or won't be doing any work within that 50-foot zone that's adjacent to the Pine Ridge condominium neighbors. Similar to again, the current permit, we have restrictions on material being hauled in between the hours of 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. The final, when all is said and done, the goal here is to provide sort of a open space property with walking trails, maybe some mountain bike off-road trails throughout this property. It's kind of a unique piece of land or parcel because it's so narrow and long. So there's not a whole lot of opportunity for efficient development to occur on this site. So, you know, there's a haul road that's going to be, you know, used as the drive to bring the material in, but as these stages become completed, that haul road will get taken out and returned to a grass condition. So there was an initial submittal that I had that was quite a bit more extensive than the one that's in front of you now. We took a little closer look at the drainage pattern, made some adjustments on the south end at McKee. That's much of that area is going to remain as is. And then we tweaked a little bit of the remainder of the site to preserve some of the trees and some of the existing hill that's out there now. So I think this plan kind of has a good blend of accomplishing our goal of adding fill to the site, kind of preserving as many conifers and hickories or oaks that we come into. The contractor who works on leveling the material is also the one who will be cutting the trees. So we'll be working with him or them to, you know, pick out the ones that make the most sense, that have the best survivability, and with respect to the fill that's being placed next to them. So that's kind of the scope of it, and I'll just take any questions.
Yep. All right, thank you. Staff?
There are several people in the room that have signed up to speak. Is it okay if they come up at this point? Okay. I will just call Bill Priota. If you'd like to come up to speak, you're welcome to.
Thank you. My name's Bill Priota. I live at 6103 Conservancy Way, in the community that Bruce was speaking of. And I'm the president of the Homeowners Association, so I'm here to sort of speak on behalf of everyone in a general sense to make sure that we sort of put forth some of the things that we feel we need to see, and we need to assure gets discussed. And it really centralizes around a couple things for us. One is courtesy, and the other is compliance or accountability. Those are the things that really mean the most to us right now. We realize that this probably is going to happen, and that's okay. It already has precedent in the first phase. The first phase, although it was loud and it was uncomfortable for a lot of the people in our neighborhood, they did do what they said they were going to do in terms of returning it to a natural state, and so there were no issues with that. Our big issue lies around courtesy, which means when you do the work, do it at a time in which it's not going to infringe on the quiet time of our neighborhood. You know, and you'll hear from some of the folks who will be speaking in just a minute too about the time constraints. And I will say that from my perspective, 7 to 6 is what the city allows. But when I come home at 5 o'clock at night from work, I'm dead tired. I don't want to hear a truck driving up and down, banging its tailgate to knock the rest of the dirt off, and the backing up and beeping and lights and the whole deal. I'm not ready for that at 5 o'clock. I'm ready for a bourbon and make dinner. That's what I'm looking for. So from the standpoint of courtesy, we would hope that they would consider those kinds of things. They do have a 50-foot buffer for the trees. We'd like them to consider where, if possible, they can extend that buffer based on their plan and their layout that might afford them the ability to give more of a buffer for that, both for sound, but also for visual after the fact when things are done. And then the last thing I'll lead with is the compliance side and the accountability. What we're hoping that they will be willing to do as well, and this is something that I think is going to be incumbent upon you as a commission to query this and to maybe make an adjustment to the current plan, and that is there's no teeth in the plan. So if they are set if they agree from 7 to 6 and they come in at 6:15, there's no accountability. We can call, we can complain, but in the end, there's nothing that is going to preclude them from doing it. And to be fair, they have been very conscientious about that in the past, but the past is the past, and the future has 3 phases to it and a 3-year plan. So with that said, we know that there's got to be some level of accountability, and right now we just don't see that there is any. So we'd like you to consider what those kinds of teeth could be in terms of taking care of the interest of the community right adjacent to this program or this project, and making sure that our interests are being cared for as well as a community. And we sort of put that on your shoulders. We expect that that's the kind of thing that you're going to ask and figure out and come up with a balance to. So we have spoken with Bruce. He's been a gentleman. He's been a great guy to work with. We understand where they're coming from. We see that it is a better plan than there might be for other kinds of construction that could go on that parcel, and we don't want that. So there is a balance, and we feel that. But at the same time, we want to make sure that our interests from a community and a neighborhood are being kept at the forefront from our perspective. Thank you. Any questions for me?
No, we cannot ask you a question. Okay, thank you. Where we are?
We have to keep on going through.
Oh.
Yep.
So we have another one?
Yeah, we have more.
Oh, I am calling Peter Zager. He's registered only to support. You want to say something, sir? Okay.
Yeah. Pete Zager, I'm the Director of Environmental and Safety for Wayne-Stone, and we are the company that is bringing in the fill to the site, and I'm the person that manages the sites. Regarding the timing, I think we can work with the timing. Typically, we are bringing in fill and it's clean fill. We don't allow any concrete, demo debris, wood, brick. It's just clean fill and then topsoil. I like to bring in more topsoil if I could find sources of topsoil in the area, because when we do the final grading plan, I'd prefer to do 6 inches rather than typical 2 inches or even 4 inches. So I told my boss if he's got any jobs where there's topsoil coming off, we'd be happy to take that. But I think typically when we do come in and we start, and if it's local, we've had jobs from Verona, Fitchburg, bringing in clean fill. The trucks usually don't hit the site until 8 in the morning typically. And I think we can work with that if that's acceptable to the neighborhood. And then as far as the end of the day, typically I'm seeing the trucks are usually getting cut off at 4:30, but there have been a couple of occasions when they've gone beyond 5. But it really depends on the job and the contractor involved. The other thing regarding the trees, I kind of came up with that idea myself originally. There's some nice conifers in there that not only are the buffer that we're talking about, but interspersed throughout the property. And there are also some pretty nice deciduous trees, so I think we can work with preserving those. And the company that I'm going to be using to do that is Mole Construction, and they're very good at grubbing. And then the other thing that we're proposing to do when we do take the vegetation off, I've proposed that we do not completely strip the vegetation off in the areas where we're going to be filling. So we're going to be basically working from the north towards McKee, and there's going to be like 3 phases in there. We're going to keep about anywhere from 10 to 12 inches of grass and other vegetation so we can control the erosion a little bit, and then we will just be backfilling on top of that. So that's going to minimize any runoff and any erosion. So I've done a lot of these projects over the years, and I think I've tried that, and it works pretty good. So just thought I'd fill you in a couple of my thoughts. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I am calling Deborah Neu. I don't know how to say here. She wishes to speak in opposition.
Hi, Deborah Nye, 6104 Conservancy Way. I back up to the mountain that they've built already, and now they're making more mountains. So I've lived there 25 years, and I built with Kaganza Builders. And when I built, they told me, implied that it was all conservancy back there. I had no idea that Thermo Fisher owned that land. So they said no one would ever build, no one would ever do anything. So anyway, I have been in front of the board 3 times prior to this. Well, this will be my 3rd. First was like a warehouse that they were going to do, and thankfully that didn't go through. Then was the hill. 25 feet of hill. And now I'm on the end where they're starting. So it's going to be 24 feet in front of my house, or, like to the side of my house. And I'm concerned about the noise. I'm concerned about my windows rattling, because they do when the trucks go by and they do their banging of the to get all the dirt out, and then that beeping, backing up, and yeah. So I would like more than 50 feet. 50 feet is what, 16 yards roughly? I mean, think about yardsticks put together. How many trees can you save in that amount of space? And how are they saving trees when the hill's going to be 24 feet? It buries trees. You can't have trees where I am. Yes, closer to McKee, but not. And I am on the side where it's going to be 24 feet. I built my house with a window for a sunset. Now I'm going to have a mountain. And I'm not happy. I am happy there's not warehouses. Thank goodness they didn't go that way. But I'm really concerned for our neighborhood. I was very upset that they only approached people that are on the side, the end of the street, which I am. But they didn't approach anybody else except for Bill, thank goodness, sent out an email to everyone saying that this was happening. But they didn't, tell anyone else that this was happening. So we don't have a lot of representation here. So anyway, that's my complaint. So
okay, thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
There is another person online, Matthew Flowers. He is registered in opposition. So Matthew, can you hear me? Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, what happened? Oh, he's there. Oh.
You're muted.
Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
I echo a lot of what Bill and Deb said. I do acknowledge that this project is going to proceed in one way or another, but as a resident of the neighborhood on 6105 Scotch Pine Way, I do have concerns. I noticed this project is split into the 3 phases. I personally don't have too many issues with phase 1, which is the northernmost area. I know that is very close to what Deb just described, and she has a different opinion because she is right there. But that phase one seems to be the most logical extension of the current, the previous project. And I think the disturbances we experienced previously with that project will be quite similar, though they will be closer proximity to the neighborhood, so they will be amplified. I would like to echo the concerns about the timing and would like to request the proposal indicate maybe the 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. limitation. I think that would be a reasonable compromise. I'm assuming this is only going to happen Monday through Friday, but if it is possible that they'll be working on the weekends, I would like to request that be limited to Monday through Friday for, family concerns. Perhaps my biggest concern is the phase 2 and 3 that extends southward, because that's going to be directly along the neighborhood line with only a 50-foot tree buffer between us. I agree with what Bill and Deb said about extending that tree buffer to be wider, 100 foot, even more if possible, for reasons of noise, for aesthetics, for also the wildlife. I know that's not the biggest concern for the board, but the phase 2 and 3 are really unprecedented. That's going to be in the immediate proximity of our neighborhood. So we really have no idea how disruptive this is going to be. It is going to be noisy. It is going to be dirty. It is going to cause shaking, and I am concerned with this getting so close to the property lines that it's going to be very obnoxious. So I know I'm running short on time here, so I just like to close saying that I don't have any problems with phase 1, but I would like the board to consider postponing the approval of phase 2 and 3 until we see how phase 1 impacts.
Thank you. Okay, so now we are moving to staff report, please.
So I will, if you'll grab me.
Can you put a map there so we can?
Yeah, we'll do that. Scott will get me there.
I like the one that have the faces, isn't it?
So the site plans that are in your packet are turned 90 degrees, but so the neighborhood, the Pine Ridge neighborhood, is located right here. Mm-hmm. The city has approved 2 fill permits to the north, so up here and then here. Those 2 fill permits were approved in 2020 and 2021. Some estimates are that a total of 150,000 cubic yards have been placed, or that were approved to be placed. The fill operations have largely, the areas that have the fill operations have concluded, the site has been restored. So the applicant, Thermo Fisher, is seeking to place additional fill by extending the fill file farther to the south towards McKee. And these erosion control permits, just to be clear, this is not in the zoning ordinance, but anytime there's a fill project that's proposed that's not related to a development project, not agricultural in nature, and over 5 acres, requires special approval by Plan Commission, and that is what is before you this evening. That section of code in not in the zoning code, but in Chapter 30, doesn't require a public notice. In this case, it might be something that we need to look towards in the future, but it does not at this time. The proposed land disturbing activities are at about 6 acres of Outlot 4 of CSM 15033. Staff notes that the applicant has greatly reduced the area of fill, and I'll just come and grab, if you'll bear with me, the original plans were significantly. Now, I've turned 90 degrees here, all. So McKee is here, Spoke Drive is along here, and the site is here. So this was the one fill permit. The other fill permit that's already been issued is here. So they're looking at extending south. But I'll just point out the original plans that were originally submitted were much more aggressive here. So what is the applicant and Bill has been great that we have been able to, or Bruce has been great that we've been able to cut back some of that, so it's going to be less visible from McKee and not quite as much fill. What they are proposing is a fill pile that would vary from 0 to 15 feet in height. For comparison, the previous two permits allowed up to 26 feet of fill. The applicant estimates that a total of 50,000 to 60,000 cubic yards of fill would be added under this permit, so a significantly less amount than what has been approved in the past. So just wanted to make a couple of points. Of course, the access road is existing right here. You can kind of see it. That would still be the current access road in order to place the fill. I also have included some of the ordinance references from Chapter 30. What you'll see that Chapter 30-32 has very specific requirements or standards that must be met in terms of not that the land disturbing activity would not be detrimental to public health, safety, morals, comfort, and general welfare. Also, I'll just read through this because this is kind of important. The land disturbing activity would not impede normal and orderly development. The activity would be sufficient to prevent and control water pollution, control soil erosion, and prevent and control adverse effects on spawning grounds, fish, and aquatic life. The plan will not cause significant change into existing grades, such as there will be no negative impacts on the direction, velocity, and amount of stormwater. Truck and vehicle traffic shall not cause a deposition of mud or dirt on the public right-of-ways. The land disturbing activities shall be properly staged as to limit the amount of site disruption at any point, and the manner of fill and placement is appropriate for future planned use. At this time, there is no future planned use other than open space in the future, just would be restored to native vegetation. There isn't any specific plans for this. So staff does recommend approval of the erosion control permit with keeping it with reference to section 3032. We did make a note on, of course, no trucking or crushing overnight, but then we put in the similar requirements as the past two with 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., no site lighting, slopes will be covered with topsoil and seeded with native seed mix, and then adequate prevention of rutting and erosion and vehicle deposition. So I am open for your questions. And maybe Bruce can come up too.
Yeah, I have several questions about this. Why we are doing this? Why, there is no future development. Why we are doing this? And also, do we have a tree inventory for this site? Because I am looking at this and practically we are going to remove a lot of trees. And then I have concern about erosion. I have concern about the erosion on McKee, erosion on the neighborhood. Removing too many trees can cause a lot of issue with erosion, especially with a lot of rains, where the water is going to go. So, so that one is my question. Okay. Josh, you have a question?
I'd like to hear him answer those, but then,
Okay.
I probably have follow-ons. Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah.
Well, as far as the why Thermo Fisher is doing this, I think it's a use for their land that they can minimize. They can work with area construction sites to minimize the trucking times in the area to a fill location that will preserve. That will, they're gaining some revenue for the fill that's brought in.
Oh, here it is.
Well, I mean, they're using the opportunity to, to.
While destroying, an environmental corridor.
Well, I mean, I guess, we're going to do our best to preserve the trees that we can and that are there. We're maintaining the drainage pattern that's there currently. We're doing our best to encompass the property with proper erosion control measures as the fill's being placed. As Peter said, we're going to, when the trees, the underbrush that's going to be removed, we're going to cut that down close to the ground level and not disturb the existing ground to minimize the sediment removal. I think they're doing a very good job right now maintaining the cleanliness of McKee Road. I think they're sweeping it on a daily basis and doing a good job with that. So, I think that that kind of, answers some of the questions that
No, Mike, you didn't answer the question about did you do a inventory?
We did not do an inventory.
I would like to see that.
Okay.
Before we approve this.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in agreement on that. I really struggle to see this amount of trees and a buffer behind a neighborhood like that taken down for fill, especially if we don't know what we're taking down. I don't think 50 feet is enough. I mean, if this comes back, I have a hard time with that. I both think that a developer shouldn't have lied to the neighbors and told them that it was conservancy. I think there's a challenge. We see that all the time in realtors and developers telling people that things are never going to change. And at the same time, I would not expect that to be a perpetual construction site, right? Like those are two very different extremes, right? Building something, having that be done, and then having that not be a construction site is very different than this perpetually being, or for a long term being a dumping site for fill. So I want to see a tree inventory. I have to be honest, we have so much flat land that has trees off of it already that we could be putting this fill on. I just don't really see the justification for this, so.
Any other question, comment?
I'll just comment on the other side. I see no problem with it. So just to balance it out, that not everyone here is in that same mindset.
I guess I have some questions about it. So right now, it's land with trees on it. And at the end of the day, it's going to be land that's going to be a little higher. Now, this says 0 to 15 feet, but Deb was saying it's 24, 25 feet. So I'd be curious how to true those numbers up. But it's going to then be flat land, but with fewer trees. Is that basically it?
Yeah, excuse me, yes. In this current, at this stage, there will be fewer trees. The land will be brought up. This particular plan, and there's the proposed grades between the existing ground and what I'm proposing on my finished elevations range anywhere from 0 to 15 feet. The existing pile that's there now goes up to 26, but that's not being carried through all the way on this new property. So the reason I have that range of 0 to 15 feet is because where we're trying to preserve the trees, we're not going to be doing any fill in those areas. Now, looking at a long-term perspective, we'll have the trees that are there. There's no, there's going to be trees sprouting up, in 15 years, there'll be there may likely be additional trees that have grown, since then, since this fill operation has happened. So it's still going to be a use that, depending upon your definition of conservancy, it's still going to be a green open space that can be used for passive recreation.
And do you know what percentage of trees you'd be removing?
No, not at this point.
And would you consider a larger than 50-foot?
Yeah, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not a question.
Yeah.
Not a question at all. That's
So you could,
definitely doable.
would you, so it seems like there needs to be further conversation between you and the neighbors, perhaps, and the tree inventory that some of the Plan Commission wants. Is that a fair statement?
Will this go to council for approval?
They do
No.
not.
Oh,
At minimum, it'd be good to have our forester
Yeah.
go out and take a look
Yeah.
at it. The forested across the Badger State Trail from this, that's going away because of the new building that's coming through there. So we are losing that forested area, but that's for a very specific amenity.
yeah.
But I think a bigger buffer, obviously, is if that's feasible to continue the project with that. I think we should consider that. But I just don't know. There are forested areas in the area that are just like, they're not great trees. And then there are forested
Well, we
areas
don't
that
know.
are oaks. The city forester would be able to tell that pretty quickly by just walking through it. But having an inventory would be nice, but I know that also that's a pretty big undertaking too. So I would.
I forget what we did on the other side of the path. We had some type of assessment. I don't know if that was the city forester doing what you're describing, walking through the area and saying, I noted these trees or I didn't note anything. I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm not necessarily against this moving forward at all. I have no interest in clearing those trees with no assessment, with no input on what's in there.
Yeah.
So I would like to see something, if that's the same thing, of the city forester going and walking this and giving us at least an idea of what's there. And then, yeah, I think a wider buffer is justified as you get close to these the houses.
So what would 100 feet look like? Like, is there any way for us to tell on the map?
So right now, am I wrong in stating that between the bottom black line and the red line is the 50-foot buffer right now?
Oh, really?
You are correct.
Oh.
Which feels incredibly slim to me.
Yeah.
That's why I think if we are, as you get into phase one, I think it's less of a concern. Phases 2 and 3, when you're backing up against houses, that feels like not enough to me.
I think we can
No, you have to talk.
I think we can definitely work with that, because when I first walked the site, that's why I decided, that we really need to do something about saving as many trees as we can. Now, when we fill this, if you look on the map, there's a drainage that's between phase 1 and phase 2. And that's going to be rip-wrapped, and it's going to be fairly wide, and then it's going to be basically, we're going to put some matting there right away. That's the first thing we're going to do when we go in there. And that's going to be eventually a riparian area. It's going to take over. So I'm going to look at that and maybe even help a little bit with this project and put some prairie riparian species in there to kind of help it along, like Joe Pye weeds and some of those types of things that we're all familiar with that like to grow in those areas. And then certainly on the phase 3 area, certainly we can, because there's a pretty wide swath of conifers there, and it probably goes out at least 100 feet easily. And the other thing I want you guys to understand why we're doing this, as you remember, the first phase on this side, the fill that came over there, a majority of it, came from South Fish Hatch project and was brought in there, okay? Never completed the volume there. So we approached Fisher Scientific saying, do you want to complete this? And we approached you guys, and you guys agreed. We're almost done with that. We got about another 5,000 yards of fill to put in there. And then we're done with that phase. And we're proposing to do this phase as a continuation. And the reason we're doing this is the Payne and Dolan sites do not allow fill on any of their sites. And Winger Sand and Gravel does a lot of jobs in this area. And our customers, they do excavation, and they need to take the fill somewhere. So they bring the fill someplace, and then they go pick up sand and gravel from our sites. One of the sites that we're operating right now happens to be the Fitchburg mineral sites. We lease that from Payne and Dolan. We are the ones that are doing the mining there. Okay, but they will not accept fill. The other Payne and Dolan site, the O'Brien site, they will not accept fill. So any fill from these projects right now in the Fitchburg area, Verona area, they got to go all the way out to Campmire and McFarland. That's the next closest pit that will accept fill. So you're looking at excessively more truck miles, huge truck miles, to take that fill somewhere. So that's why we wanted to propose this site, which minimizes the truck volume on McKee and anywhere else going out, because otherwise it's just ridiculous how far we got to take fill. So that I just wanted everybody here to understand that. That was the original rationale for doing these fill sites, besides the fish hatchery job, which we weren't involved in at the time. So hopefully that helps a little bit.
Yeah, it helps me to be more opposed to this, to be honest, because, I think this is a great environmental corridor, and I am very concerned about erosion, what is going to happen. I want to know when we have those rain and we don't have any tree there, where the water is going to go. Where is it? Is it going to go to Danmarsh? Where is going the water?
So that's a better question for Ben, the stormwater, the environmental engineer. But they are not allowed to push more water faster to a different place. They have to maintain the existing drainage patterns and the existing flow patterns of of water that's coming off this site.
So where are they going to?
Where it goes right now.
Where?
It would be flowing eventually to the north, I would assume.
North. Danmarsh, isn't it? It's Danmarsh, yeah. So practically we are destroying, I'm going to use this very strong word because environmental corridor to be a dumping place. This is what we're doing.
I do think a tree inventory is important, though, because there's differences between different types of trees. Like, we don't know what types of trees are in this area. I would assume that because the Jolly Conservancy is nice, but, you don't want to make assumptions about that. But also, we approve projects that have fill. We do that all the time. We want housing in this area, and it requires, it creates all of this dirt and topsoil, and it has to go somewhere. So, we do, and that does matter, too. I understand
My concern is also the neighborhood there, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but they talked about a bigger buffer.
Yeah,
seeing
bigger
what the trees
buffer,
are.
or maybe we should start with phase 1 and then see what happened with the other phases. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable.
Well, where are the two that you had the permits for? Is it in this area? I wasn't following on the map, Deanna. And what has been our experience with how they have handled erosion in the two we've already permitted?
Oh, there is a stormwater over there. Oh, there is Danmarsh.
I am not aware of any problems with the stormwater permit that these fill operations have operated under.
Let me say this, as we fill these areas, and the reason we've been able to control the erosion pretty well is we will fill an area and immediately seed it. We don't wait till we're completely filled and then come back and seed it at the end. We've done sequential seeding or matting.
No, I get it. But the other thing is the absorption of the water is different, with grass than with trees. There is a big difference. So my concern is removing that amount of tree. What is going to happen when we have this big storm during summertime that it rains, so many inches of rain in 10 minutes, where the water is going to go. And if we have a scope like this, the water is going to go to the neighborhood. If we don't have so this is what I want to know, how we are going to make sure that the water is going to Danmarsh. What is that? Oh, there is another storm water there?
Yeah, we'll have a, as part of this plan, there's, where the slopes get fairly steep along along the property owners' homes, we build a little diversion berm that when the water comes off the slope, it hits that, and then it runs down to the location of where it's currently leaving the site.
Well, this one is not here, so we should be.
And I assume our Public Works looks at this because they have to permit the erosion plan and the stormwater plan?
Did you go to Public Works?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep, they have already, the environmental engineer has already reviewed the plans.
Okay.
But did we send this to Public Works? I don't understand.
We haven't in the past.
Let me see.
I have a question on the land disturbing activity. Is
No, we didn't send
the
it to Public Works.
refilling the land disturbing, or is it the cutting of the trees that is considered land disturbing? I guess if they were to cut the trees and do nothing else, is that still considered under the approval that's needed here? Okay, so I think that's something to consider as a private property owner. They could clear cut this entire property without anyone's approval because it's their property. That's one thing. To the question of 26 feet and the hill that was in phase, or that was in previous phase, it's clearly stated that it allowed up to 26 feet of fill there. This one allows only up to 15 feet of fill. And if we're so concerned about the environmental impact, I am also just as concerned about the environmental impact of having diesel trucks driving that much further to dump what is necessarily needed to be dumped somewhere. And that's why when we voted for this in 2020 as part of the fish hatchery program, it was actually a kind of a, hey, look at us, we're being green because we're keeping it so local, we're not wasting so many fossil fuels driving it around. So that's my 3 points.
Any other comment, questions? No?
So do you want to postpone for the forester to?
I'm not sure what the best way to go about it. I just wanted to make one other comment that I think that it sounds like limiting, if we do move forward with this, limiting the hours from 8 to 5 is amenable to. Yes. I think that's kind of a no-brainer. 7 a.m., I'm not a morning person, so 7 a.m. seems ridiculously early to me, but 8 a.m. seems at least like moderately okay, but even that sounds early, but that's better. But yeah, I'm not sure what the next steps would be. Would we send it with direction?
I don't know. It's up to you. We haven't moved there, isn't it?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
No, there hasn't been a motion.
We could postpone it to the October meeting.
Yeah, we can do that.
So I move we postpone Outlot CSM 15033 to the October meeting with a request for the city forester to do a walking review of the trees present on the site.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of postponing, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
All right.
The
Thank
motion
you.
carried to postpone. Thank you. Okay, so here we are now.
Can I ask a question of staff?
Yeah.
So when we have a situation like this where, like Stephen pointed out, this is a private landowner that could go in tomorrow and just clear cut the whole thing without any city guidance. Is that something where, does our city forester have time to help residents when they want to look at stuff like this? I mean, that is a huge piece of land, but I would assume that in a couple of hours she would have a pretty good idea of walking around there as to whether there's anything worth saving, and they seem really amenable to working with the city on preserving these trees.
So I do think she has, sometimes she's very busy, and she is generally willing to, in a situation like this, as long as she had permission to access the site. Of course, it's private property, so she couldn't just walk there. But if she did have permission to walk the site, I'm sure she would find a little time to take a look at it. I'm sure she was not going to have time to inventory the entire site,
I don't
but
think we would
she
need an
could
inventory.
give her
I think-
professional opinion on
Right.
the the quality of the trees.
And looking at the aerial map, you can tell that there is quite a big buffer of conifer trees already there. So I think all she needs to look at is what's the stuff that's to the west. You know, what's the quality of that stuff? And I think when we looked at the site for the YMCA, there was a lot of undesirable trees in there.
I remember that.
And when you look at how many trees we have to the north, near the marsh and in the Dolly Conservancy, there is quite a bit of trees there already. I don't like taking trees out either, but I think for, you know, I don't know. I would like to see the city forester go and either walk with the neighbors or walk with Wingra and take a look at what's there and maybe agree on 100-yard before this comes back. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So where we are, H. What is the final plat? Oh, this is a final plat, FP-2611-25, request by Michelle Burrs, agent of the Fitchburg Lands, LLC, to approve the final plat for the 5th additional to Terra Besa to allow the subdivision of 59 lots, including 50 buildable lots, in the Terra Besa neighborhood. Okay. So do we have anyone from?
Oh, Michelle is on.
Michelle is here. Okay.
And she's welcome to speak. Otherwise, I'll give the staff report.
Okay, you're gonna do the stuff. Okay, go ahead.
Unless Michelle wants to jump in.
Oh, we have one here from. Oh,
David
he's
Hayes.
not here. Okay.
Do you want to mention him?
We have a citizen registration from Dawn Haight. She wishes to speak, but no, she's not here and nothing. So I don't know if it's in a position or so. Okay. Okay.
So this is the 5th edition of Terra Besa, and this is a pretty big deal. This is the last edition for Terra Besa. This edition, if you want to grab my map there, we're looking at this final edition where Lacey will extend and then connect into Meadowwood Drive right here. So the properties, I guess I don't need to go all the way through this. The last time the 4th edition was approved by Plan Commission and Council in February of 2024. We have did a replat for the 4th edition. The staff has reviewed the site, the plat for zoning compliance with the smart code standards, and believe that it does meet the requirements of smart code. However, I do want to just point out that staff is planning to bring a small number of smart code amendments forward to Plan Commission and Council soon. One of those would be to allow lots that are T3, to allow those to be on an alley. And really, this is more of a building permit problem for us. And I'm going to look at this. So here is, let's see. Get my plat. The plat is proposing that these interior lots right here, and it sure is confusing because it's not north and south for me. But here's where Lacey's coming up and connecting into Larson Road. And these lots are proposed to be T3. However, the setback requirements under T3 would make it impossible to us to issue building permits. So one of the things we'll bring forward is to change the setbacks on T3 to allow the rear alley lots. The proposed lots would be developed primarily with T3 and T4. You will see that this one does have some larger lots here on the north. Part of that is because there is environmental corridor to the north here. I guess I could turn that on to, let me get this one. So there is some environmental corridor here. And then what you'll also see on this final plat is that, I'm going to come back this way. There'll be a private alley, and then this lot is slated to the west here, and where that's located is in here for future development. And at this time, it hasn't been decided what kind of development that might be. It might be something like Harlan Hills. That might be some big condo lots like that. Some single families on larger condo lots. It has not been decided at what that would look like right now. So the parkland, I'll just make a note about parkland here. Terra Vesta in the original plats dedicated approximately 33 acres of parkland. There's more than enough parkland dedication to cover the proposed lots here. We will have to work through and will expect park improvement fees to be paid prior to issuance of building permits. So staff does recommend approval of this final plat for Terra Vesta 5th edition with the 19 conditions. And I'll try to answer any questions, but we do have Michelle, and she's the surveyor for this.
Yeah, I have a question. So this one allows the subdivision of 59 lots, including 50 buildable. What is going to happen with the other 9 lot? Those one are the one that you mentioned?
Yeah, so one of them, so one of the lots is the big lot to the west, which is not going to be developed at this point. It's just going to remain an outlot for future development. Then there's an outlet to the north, environmental corridor. There's stormwater lots.
Oh, okay.
The alley lots are 2 outlots.
Okay.
So like this is an outlet. This is an outlet, but we're going to put that together with outlot 90. So the outlets are serving stormwater, environmental corridor, alley, future development.
Okay. You mentioned that the lot on the west, I would say.
Yeah, there's
Lazy.
those
those one are
ones, right.
T3. How big are those lots?
Yeah.
Do you have an idea?
Yep, I can just pull those up. So anywhere from 49 to just over 50 feet wide by about 100 feet.
So how many square feet are? 5,000. So okay. So these one are the ideal for what? For single family?
These would be single family.
Okay.
Yep, I would definitely expect these to be single family.
Are we planning to build any townhomes, duplexes, anything there or no? In T4?
These down here
What are
probably
T4?
would be built as duplexes, single zero lot line duplexes.
That one is the T4, isn't it?
Those would be T4.
Okay.
Yep.
And what
These
about,
are T3. Those are T4.
Okay. And what about
T3.
north there?
And those will be
Big lot?
T3 too.
T3, but they are bigger lot.
Yeah. T3 is less dense. T4 is more dense. T5 is our apartments.
No, I know, but then you have T2, isn't it?
Yeah, we haven't did any T2.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Okay.
We don't have any.
So
T2.
I thought that those one were like T2 because of the lot size. Okay.
I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
So how long is it going to take to build this? Do they have a time frame? Or?
I don't know. I'm not
this
aware of a
machine?
particular time frame.
Okay.
But I would imagine that they will start initial construction in the spring. Otherwise, they probably would have waited to bring forward the preliminary plat. Maybe Michelle has another idea about that.
I finally figured out how to turn my microphone on, and I haven't been informed of the schedule yet.
Who is Michelle?
Could you hear me?
Yes. Oh, yes. Thank you, Michelle.
Okay. Yep. Thanks.
Oh, okay.
So how many total housing units will this be once this is built out? Do we know the number? Is it about 50 per phase, or is there more in some other phases? We don't have to answer that right now. It's more out of curiosity. If you don't know, it's okay.
Oh, what the other phases were in terms of the numbers of units?
Yeah, like how many units of housing is gonna be Terravesa gonna be at full build out?
I think
I'll
the
have to
idea
get
was-
you a number.
I think
Yeah.
the idea when we approved this plan, maybe Carol, you were in plan commission, it was like 2,000 units.
Maybe
the idea
Michelle
was.
knows. I don't know.
Well, at the very first preliminary plat, I think it was around 600, but I don't know what, we've modified it since
Yeah.
the original preliminary plat.
Just curious.
It'll be a little bit less than that. The lots got bigger based on developer, or based on builders' requirements.
Okay, so this, I want to make a comment about this. People say that we are only building apartments. No, we are also building houses too, okay? Maybe they cannot see it because they don't go vertical, but, they're not visible, but, we are trying. And they are homeowner occupied, so. Any comments about this? No?
I'll move approval of final plat FP 261125 with the 19 conditions outlined by staff.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of the final plat, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so next we are moving to item 5I, is a certified survey map CS-26-12, no, oh my God, 2612-25, request by Randall Hess to divide one existing lot into two lots on property associated with 2640 Osmussen Road. So, Randall, Randy, do you want to speak? Okay. This no? Okay, fine. You have been here, waiting for this moment for a long time, so. No? Okay. So Diana, can we go to you?
Yep, I'll just orientate you to the approximate location. Lacey is up here, and the fire station 1 is there. So we're at the corner here of Osmundson is the location. This is a fairly, we don't do a whole lot of these subdivisions of existing duplex lots into 0 lot lines, but we do one approximately a year. Yeah. And so this is an existing duplex in the Wildwood South subdivision. The property was constructed as a duplex, and the city has a process which we use occasionally to divide the property into 2 individual lots that really create 2 attached single-family units. And there's a few things that we need to make that happen. The maintenance agreement, 8-foot maintenance easement, the dwelling wall abutting the 0 lot line shall be a minimum of 1 hour firewall, and the new property as much meets the dimensional standards. So staff has reviewed. The applicant has provided a maintenance agreement that looks good and will need to be recorded. I guess I should have brought that up. The certified survey map shows the 8-foot maintenance the 8-foot easement on both sides of the property. So you can see that 4 feet on each side. The dwelling unit has been confirmed by the building inspection team that there is a minimum 1 hour firewall between the 2 units, and that the property does meet the dimensional standards of the RM zoning district. So given that there's no changes proposed to the setbacks, lot area, or any other dimensional standards, staff does recommend approval. There is a note from our Assistant Director of Public Works that I will just point out that a separate water service is required to service each lot, and that work has to be completed prior to the city signing the CSM. But otherwise, staff does approve with those 10 conditions.
Okay, thank you. do you want to add anything?
Well, I was going with the water. There are 2 meters there. Does that mean there is or is not currently? So am I going to have to dig out another line?
From what my understanding, and I'm not the utility engineer, but I don't know if you have you need 2 separate water services before you get to the property line. So 2 separate shut-off valves before you get to your property line. I don't know that that's there, but I can connect you with our Assistant Director of Public Works.
I'll have to put one in?
Yes, you do. Mhm.
And that cannot be a joint?
No,
In the
there has,
agreement?
because they're going to be under separate ownership, you have to have 2 shut-off valves.
Right.
Because if one doesn't pay,
Right.
Yeah.
I see.
yeah, you have to have 2 separate shut-off valves.
But the last one I did on Norwich, I don't think I had to do that.
I can look back, but
I can give you an address too.
I can't look at it.
No,
right
no,
now.
but just to help. I'm just trying to think back. It's been, don't want to say, 17 years. So it happens. I mean, the area is very attractive because you can have kids walk to schools from the neighborhood. And everybody knows the crossing guard there. So she's great.
So are you doing this because you're planning to sell?
I got a buyer.
Okay.
So for tax purposes, so I don't have to pay capital gains
Mhm.
on the unit and or recapture tax. So we're talking anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 in recapture tax and capital gains.
You are doing a 1031 exchange?
No.
No.
Because it'll be what I'm selling is my homestead, so I don't have to pay capital gains on it. So then I'm going to move into the next unit, sell that 2 out of 5 years, and then you don't have to pay capital gains on it.
Oh, okay.
So each unit, I'm going to be doing that too for the next 10 years, 20 years. Why not?
I'm glad we have a mechanism to do this. Zero lot land homes are a really efficient use of land, and it's great to have 2 homeowners instead of just one. So I think it's great.
Probably is over 50% already.
Great.
With owner occupied on one side and the other side's a rental. But it's probably over 50%. Over the years, you're seeing more and more people move into the neighborhood and owner occupy and rent out the other side. In fact, it just happened on Norwich. A couple moved in and they're living in it and renting out the other side.
Well, thanks for bringing it to us.
Sure.
Okay, so any other question, comments? I need someone to move this.
I'll make a motion to approve certified survey map CS 2612-25 with the 10 conditions noted by staff.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of the certified survey map, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carried. Okay,
Thanks
you.
for your patience tonight. We appreciate it.
Patience. I don't know how you guys do it. And is Deanna getting paid enough? I want to know that question right now.
Well, there's a guy.
Thank you. So next is 5J, resolution R-162-25, approving relocation order and TPP related to reconstruction of Ficherona Road from Tonto Trail to Nesfit Road. Okay, what is this, Diana?
So this is the transportation project plat for Ficherona, which is scheduled to get started early next year. And this is the plans that show the areas that the Public Works team is going to need to have either purchase some land or have some easements or some temporary easements. So that's what these plans are showing, is it's identifying the areas that Public Works has determined with their engineers that they are going to need to go into some negotiation with the owners in order to compensate for land and easements. So that's what these plans are showing.
I have a question for you. Are you done?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll try.
So I think we are, because I think you mentioned that the gray area, the darker, are the ones that we are considering to buy land to do
I
the
think
roundabout?
I think the most of this,
Because some of them it's not part of, they don't belong to the town of Verona,
well, this is a project joint with the town of Verona.
and they're
This
going
is
to
a
pay
jo-
for that too?
I don't know what the payment deals are. That one's out of my scope.
There's an MOU. I don't know what the cost breakdown
Oh,
is, but we are obviously paying for the bulk of this project.
Yeah, this is what I.
Okay, so there's you.
Okay.
I could try to explain this best, but there is areas of new right-of-way, temporary easement, and then some permanent
Yeah, I
easement.
know. Yeah.
So it looks to me that these kind of hatched areas are going to be purchases, and because you might recall
It's a
here
roundabout.
there's a roundabout
Yeah.
going in here at Lacey and Fitrona. The other areas are easements, either temporary or permanent.
Okay.
So
Any question, comment?
I have one quick question. Do you know if part of this process, if they're going to be addressing the stormwater issues underneath the bridge?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's a big piece of it. That's why they moved, the date was helped determine so they could do it together.
And also maybe they are going to look at the sewer for the southeastern prairie. Yeah.
Yeah, they're looking at the big picture of it, which is good.
Yeah. So, okay.
I'll move
any-
okay. Oh, go ahead.
I'll move approval of resolution R-162-25.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of resolution R-162-25, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Next one is 5K, is a resolution. Okay, where is? Oh, here.
okay.
Resolution R-167-25, releasing a temporary sanitary sewer easement and a portion of a sanitary sewer and water main easement on lot 115 in the first addition to Oak Meadow Plat. Okay.
Last year, you might recall that Plan Commission and Council approved the Oak Meadow Reserve plat. Here is Fish Hatchery and Targhee and Oak Meadow. That was 11 lots here. This land was originally planned for condominiums, and this is still a cleanup project yet to release the previous sanitary easements that were tailored for that were designed and accepted for the condominium plat. Of course, that's not going in, and so what these easement releases are doing is just releasing those previous unnecessary today sanitary easements. So there's this larger permanent sanitary easement that's being released in the lots, and then also there's a temporary sanitary easement that's being released in those lots. So just really a cleanup piece that we probably should have took care of last year, but now we're going to get it cleaned up. And I'm pretty sure one of the lots will be closing really soon for a new house.
Okay. Thank you. Any comments, question?
I'll move approval of resolution R-167-25 with the conditions. No conditions noted by staff.
Okay, all those in favor of resolution R-167-25, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you very much. We are at the end, so we have report from the department. Any additional?
I don't have any additional comments today.
No? What about the RFP for the
We're going to let Brad breathe a day.
Okay.
Just so he can use a day to breathe.
Okay. So next we move to report from the Ag and Rural Affairs Committee.
No meeting this month.
Okay, thank you. From TTC?
No report.
Oh, okay. Any announcement? So what I want to say, Diana, thank you very much to you and your team for all the time for the neighborhood plan. I have seen you and your team working many hours, plus doing all the other stuff for the department. So Thank you very much, okay?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, second that. We know how much work and time went into this, how much you were trying, you and staff were trying to hear the residents, give them an opportunity to give input.
Yeah.
We appreciate the compromises and all the input. You've brought this a lot. There were things that were said earlier today as if we haven't seen a ton of this and haven't been checked in with and opportunities to ask questions, and that couldn't be further from the truth on these plans. So thank you very much for all the work on that.
Thank you, Jana. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning at 9:24, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So, buenas noches.